where Everything Everywhere All at Once came out the first time. Like that,
Right.
that's where we'll go.
You
You bums in middle America. You don't know cinema.
somebody smelling filet mignon while they eat or while they while they watch Die Hard. You gotta appreciate these things. What's like the worst smelling food? I know this is litigated on Twitter, but like, what's the
Fish.
worst smell? Fish. Yeah. If you were sitting down to watch a movie and all of a sudden somebody brought out like a giant piece of like salmon or something.
Curry is delicious, but it smells horrible.
Awful. And
But
that
it's
smell
delicious,
just
but it smells
lingers
awful.
forever.
The smell literally stays around for days. But the worst food I've ever smelled is easily chitlins. That's easily the worst food you could ever
Oh
smell.
God, yeah.
That stays in your house for a week minimum.
Yeah.
That shit is awful.
Didn't somebody say they brought a whole thing of chitlins to a movie theater one time?
Bro.
I saw that.
I almost got canceled when they tweeted that. I hope we're
Insane
not.
behavior, dude. Like
I'm not gonna say what I tweeted because I almost got canceled, and I deserved
You brought
it. But
Boston Market to the theater.
that shit was delicious eating. Delicious.
you
But
manage-
chitlins,
I still don't
chitlins is insane
understand
behavior.
the managing to bring a whole bag of food and not one person say anything to you.
You
Well,
do
that's
what you
easy.
want when you popping.
yeah, you just gotta act like it's like no big deal. Just walk in. Like, I know you smelled that rotisserie chicken when I walked by, but let's just not talk about it.
I'm gonna bring a whole IHOP menu to Bo is Afraid at 10:40 a.m. tomorrow.
You're gonna be in there by yourself anyway.
You'll
You
be
can
in
bring
there
whatever the
by
fuck you
yourself.
want in that movie.
It'll be all good.
Have a full
Literally
setup.
whatever you want.
Welcome to One Take Podcast, episode 144. This week we're actually not doing a movie. There were some good movies or some well-reviewed movies that came out this week, but we wanted to. Sometimes there is a show that comes out that we're all so in lockstep with watching, and that is being talked about in the zeitgeist that we just have to talk about it. And this one is being talked about for multiple reasons.
So many reasons.
So many reasons.
Not all of them good.
Not all of them
all
great.
of them
One
good.
of which is that the show is actually good. Beef on Netflix, the most popular thing on the planet right now, outside of maybe the NBA playoffs. But so yeah,
Giannis in the dirt. Let's talk about it.
make the whole plane out of Jimmy Butler. What are we talking about? Why don't we make the whole team out of Jimmy Butler?
56 of them things. That's crazy. But anyway, beef.
Anyway.
The
Beef.
Bucks are fraudulent. Frauds.
So yeah, we're talking about beef this week on Netflix. Other than that, how we doing? We doing okay? I'm exhausted. Dex, we were talking about this before the show.
So fucking tired, dude. All I gotta say is follow Apollo HOU because we are out here busting our asses, man. Like, we are not okay.
Anything that you can tease?
Tons of soccer content all day, every day. Watch Super Bake
Football.
Sports. Watch anything we post on Apollo HOU. Please retweet that shit because it's like we are so fucking tired.
Tej, or how's being a lawyer? How's that going?
It's horrible. It's horrible, but everything else is great. I've been busy as hell at work though, so it's been trash. But everything else is great.
You're about to put Ed Sheeran in jail. You personally.
You personally are going to sit and cape for the Marvin Gaye estate.
Hey, if you're listening, Marvin Gaye Estate, I would love to come be a part of the team. It seems like y'all run up the score on everybody. Y'all are like the 08 Heat. Y'all are like the LeBron James Heat team. And I just want to come be, like a Chris Bosh or a Mario Chalmers character and add to what y'all doing. Because I respect what y'all doing over there. Y'all very litigious. And y'all suing all these white people. And I respect it. I respect it all the way.
Down goes Robin Thicke. Down goes Ed Sheeran. Just getting all the white folks out of here.
I'm sure Taylor Swift has some Marvin Gaye-esque chord progressions in there if you look deep enough. And I just want y'all to check into that. I have ideas, guys. I'm not just asking for a job. I have ideas. Contact me, please. Thank you.
Beef on Netflix came out a couple of weeks ago. Has an 8.3 on IMDb. Number 2 ranked popularity movie trending series trending right now on Netflix. 2 people let a road rage incident burrow into their minds and slowly consume every thought and action created by Lee Sung-yin. Stars Steven Yeun and Ali Wong. Host of other people. Joseph Lee as George. Young Maziano as Paul. He Who Shall Not Be Named as Isaac. Maria Bello as Jordan. Also, comedian Andrew Santino makes an appearance in this. So, yeah, host of characters that you should know from other things, but 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, 87% audience score on that website. Beef. The most popular thing on the planet. It's what's for dinner. Do you not know that commercial? Anyway.
Beef, it's what's for dinner.
No. Where is the beef? Anyway, Tej, where is the beef? What's your rating review?
I feel like we should do our due diligence and talk about the awkward Voldemort stuff up front.
Go ahead, man, because I don't know how to. You're the lawyer. I don't know how to litigate this.
I found out about this, unfortunately, when I was in the middle of it. I think I had watched a couple episodes. I was already hooked. The first episode really hooked me, and then I found out shortly thereafter about this thing. So basically, to summarize it, I think his name is David Cho, the guy who plays Isaac. Has a sordid past, to say the least. He used to be a podcaster, I guess. He had a podcaster.
Well, you should say what he was famous for.
He was painting He's an artist first. Yeah,
he's famous for painting the murals on the Facebook headquarters. Both of them, the original one and the new corporate headquarters that they had, now 15 years ago, and they paid him in Facebook stock. So he is a
rich
100 millionaire, like 5 times over. Anyway, continue.
It doesn't surprise me that Facebook has this kind of hiring practices when it comes to people that come and do art for them. Anyway, he had a podcast, and basically he told a story on his podcast, which was with an adult film star, a woman who was an adult film star named Asa Akira, I think her name is.
You know what her name is?
Well, I wanted to be coy a little bit, but thanks a lot for letting the whole world know that I'm a sicko. But I know exactly who she is. I respect her work, but respect to you, Asa. Anyway,
yeah, you can't. I know what you are.
I'm familiar.
I'm familiar with her game. They were on a podcast, and he basically told a story about how he raped a masseuse. Basically, she was resisting certain sexual acts, and he was basically encouraging her and then physically forcing her to do certain things. He told this story. He claims he was just trying to be a douchebag and they didn't actually rape anyone, but it sounded very bad. And even his co-host was like, yo, you just admitted to rape. It wasn't like he didn't realize what he was admitting to. It was very clear, and he just kept doubling down and saying douchey shit. So that video was out there. Now, the 2 stars of this show, who I love both of them, Steven Yeun and Ali Wong, are our stars, and apparently this is a very close friend of theirs. And so they basically got this guy the job on this show, even though they were well aware of these comments and all the backlash that happened years and years ago about these comments, but they resurfaced, obviously, because he's on this very big hit show for Netflix. So obviously no matter how big this thing is, and it looks like it's been a big deal, and a lot of people have watched it, we won't ever really know how big it would have been, because it felt like it had so much momentum in that first week or so. And then this story hit, and the momentum, or at least the amount that people have been talking about it online, really slowed down. That doesn't mean people aren't going to watch the show, but people basically stopped talking about it. And I don't know if that's due to the next thing has popped up and we talk about the next thing, or because of this thing. But I know it has definitely made me talk about the show a lot less than I would have had this not been over it, because I think there's a lot to explore with the show, and I thought it was a very, very well done season of television. I was kind of obsessed with it. I'm enthralled with it, and it just sucks that this is the cloud over this whole thing, and it's literally due to the decision making of the people that made this show. That part sucks, and it's no fun.
Well, it's one of the better things, I think. I'll say that I don't want to speak for everyone, but that I've watched just in media this year so far, and there's a lot of great things that have already come out this year, and a lot of things that we haven't seen. But especially in TV, for me, this is one of the better seasons of TV that has come out on Netflix in a long time.
I feel like they've been in the dirt a little bit.
Exactly. And they've been struggling to find another prestige TV show to get themselves back in that conversation where they started years and years and years ago, they basically started the whole streaming, or they did start the streaming thing, but they started the streaming
As
press,
prestige TV.
yeah, streaming prestige shows. Now the conversation has become more about David Cho, and that has been nasty online. Also, what a weird thing to say that you were lying about to like get like things. Look, I'm
thought
cool.
It sounded cool.
I
on
thought
the
it sounded cool
podcast.
in the time. What a weird thing to brag about. Anyway, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about David Cho. Obviously, he's either a sick guy or extremely weird. His performance notwithstanding, I thought he fit into the show for whatever that's worth, but I don't want to talk about him and whatever is surrounding the show. I do want to talk about the show as a whole because it is so good.
And he
maybe
was my least favorite part of it, honestly. So like I can talk
Fuck
about
you,
the
David
show
Cho.
without talking about him. Like,
yeah, we can definitely talk about the rest of the show because it mostly centers around Steven Yeun and Ali Wong, regardless of what you may or may not think about their comments and their relationship to this guy. So
all that aside,
we got it out of the way.
This is
what about the show?
A wonderful piece of television. It is beautiful. It is shot well. It is funny. It is dark. And it has one of my favorite things in the world, which is when there's like a small time crime plot and it boils out of control because nobody actually knows what the fuck they're doing. Like basically every Coen Brothers movie ever, it has that kind of element. And the way that this show builds across the episodes, it's like you have no idea where it's going to go. And even towards the end, you're like, I still don't really know where it's going to go, but I'm really in for the ride. I thought Ali Wong was an absolutely credible dramatic actress. I had never seen her in a role like that. I only knew her from being in rom-coms and her stand-up routine. So I know her as a comedian only. I thought she was very credible as a dramatic actress, which happens a lot with comedians because they understand, real sadness and real hurt. And just like every other artist, they just, usually present in the form of comedy. Obviously, she's great at the comedy stuff in the show because she's a comedian. And Steven Yeun is one of the best young actors in Hollywood. I've been saying that he's been amazing at everything he's been in. He made me watch The Walking Dead at least a season more than I should have. Like at least one season more than I knew at some point. Like, all right, I'm probably done here. But he's just such a compelling character. And he's
Would you believe it?
Actor.
I know you said young actor. Would you believe it if I told you that man is 40?
Wow.
He has looked the same since The Walking Dead, which was over
exactly the same.
It's unbelievable. He looks great. Anyway, sorry, he's 40 years old.
That was having the two of them at the head of this was perfect casting. No comment on other casting choices, but those two casting choices were very good. I just thought this was a very compelling way to tell a story. And I thought the way that you can build that somebody, maybe it was one of y'all, somebody told me this is like watching 10 episodes of Uncut Gems in terms of the level of like tenseness they're able to put into you. I agree with that. And I appreciate it. I gave it an A. I really enjoyed it. I know some people didn't particularly love the ending, and I know we'll talk about the ending later in the podcast, but I was all in for the ending. I thought it was perfect. And I'm just begging and praying the gods, the TV gods, our TV overlords, don't make another season of this show. Let's just remember for what it is. There's already controversy around it anyway. So one of the characters you wouldn't even be able to bring back. Let's just, let's all go do other projects. That was a very cool project. I'm interested to see what else these people direct. I'm interested, obviously, to see what else Ali Wong does and Steven Yeun does because they're great. I won't be following David Cho. I really like the guy that plays his brother. I love the guy that plays her husband, George. And George had the swaggiest sweater collection I have ever seen on TV
Incredible
in my entire life. The swag, those were unbelievable levels of swag with those sweaters. The sweater he chose to wear when they were going to potentially fight or maybe potentially have an argument with the person she's been beefing with when she first tells him, I was like, this is your fighting sweater, bro? I don't really understand that, but all his sweaters were so swaggy that it made up for it. Props to swaggy sweaters. We're going to give this an A. I really enjoyed Beef. I'm not going to tell anyone to watch it because I know some people aren't watching it due to the controversy, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm happy that I watched it. I gave it an A.
Look, we all watch things with deplorable people. I'll leave that there.
That's true.
I don't know.
It'd
I
be
understand
like
I understand why you wouldn't. Yeah, I don't
Hey,
know.
I'm
I don't
watching
want to
The
go any.
Flash.
I don't want to dig any further into that.
I'm watching The Flash and I'm watching Magazine Dreams. I can admit those. I'm going to be tapped in for both of those.
facts. I'm sorry. I'm a terrible
I'm sorry,
person.
guys. Call me what you want. I need the cinema. I'm sorry. I need it. I literally need it. I'm going to be in there. I'm going to be in there.
Men constantly continue to fail us, including me, and I'm part of the problem. Like, I am going to keep watching these movies.
I can't
Just
miss The Flash.
admitting
That trailer
defeat.
is too fire, bro. I'm sorry. I know Ezra Miller is the worst person in the world. I understand that, but the trailer looks like it's real cinema over there at DC, and I'm sorry. I have to tap in. I watched 3 hours of Black Adam just so I could be ready for this moment. I prepared for this.
To your point, Tej, somebody on TikTok, and he's kind of gone viral after this several times, is that saying that sweaters are the sluttiest thing that a man can wear.
Facts.
Going back
I can see that.
Knives Out, Chris Evans.
Oh, yeah.
I was just about
Chris
to
Evans'
say
sweater,
that.
Knives
Yeah,
Out.
that Chris Evans sweater and Knives Out had the whole
That sweater
block
was
on fire.
Which you can
That sweater
only
was
look
fire.
good in if you're in shape, by the way.
That's
like
true.
if you're not in shape, you just look like the Michelin Man.
That's facts.
So yeah, I agree with that take.
And by the way, that shit is not cheap. Like,
No.
do not get it twisted.
Don't
It
think
might-
about to go cop.
it has holes in it.
It might be some sweaters at your local H&M or Zara that look similar. It ain't the same. Like,
That ain't Ralph, though.
do not get it twisted, brother.
Oh my god. Dex, you and I are kind of in lockstep, or maybe a little different, but I think in lockstep with how we feel about it, in that the ends don't necessarily justify the means for something like this.
Yeah.
Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah. So I really enjoyed the first 8 episodes of this show. It's a 10 episode season for people who don't know. And then
Another mistake.
episode 9 just completely jumped the shark for me. Like before, it's like this very obviously very tense but relatively low stakes, like low, I don't know the right word for it, but
It was low stakes. It was just like one person may not get money and the other person may not get to build their family a home.
Yeah, it was like, these two people, they have beef. Like there's a bunch of petty escalations throughout, right? And it's just like cool to see where those like dumbass decisions take each of them. But then episode 9, we're not going to spoil it yet. We'll get into spoilers later. It just goes completely off the fucking rails in episode 9. And like, I was like, what are we doing? Like, why did we do that? Why did we jump the shark like this to make this show something that it really wasn't to start out? And then the final episode kind of slows it all the way back down the other direction. And I wasn't really feeling the end of it. But before that, I was all in. Like Ali Wong and Steven Yeun, the titular beef, like it just works. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're just fully engrossed in it from episode 1. Like it's literally just some petty people in a parking lot doing some shit that you've like probably thought about doing if you drive a car. Like, you know what I'm saying? Somebody pisses you off in the parking lot and you like have that intrusive thought where you're like, I should chase them down and let them know how I feel.
Y'all
or
live in
whatever.
Houston and LA. This is a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real fucking thing. Like there's people I see on I-10 every fucking day who I'm like, I should teach this bitch a lesson. Like, this motherfucker got me fucked up. I should run his ass down because I could. Like,
16 lanes on this Katy freeway. You chose to cut me off?
you chose to cut me off, you bitch. Like, it's just like these intrusive thoughts that you have, and then they act those out. But like by the end of it, it just goes so like the escalations are so ridiculous. Like it's one thing for you to make one bad decision, and then after you make that bad decision, like you're locked in, so you keep having to do stupid things. But they make bad decisions and like have just an easy, obvious out for all of their bad decisions, and then just make worse decisions like on top of the original bad decision. And so by the end of it, you're like, what the fuck? What are we doing? Like, why did we get here? And that's part of the point. That's part of the fun, but it just didn't end up working for me at the end. But prior to that, like the show was funny, like, you know, like the drama I was super invested in, like when it was smaller and pettier. I thought it was cooler. And then once it gets to like some real shit, you're like, oh, I don't know if I felt it like that. So I ended up giving it like a B plus, like almost an A minus, because it's a really enjoyable show right up until the last 2 episodes for me. But before that, I was fucking all in, anxious as hell, having a great time, laughing, all that stuff. But by the end, it went a little too far for me.
I love 9, but I didn't when it comes to, like, I gave it an A as opposed to an A plus because I had some issues with 10 as well, but I didn't have any issues with 9. 9 was right where I needed it to be, and then it was 10 that I was like, I get it's very hard after 9, something that like pulse pounding, to dial it back and do something a bit more introspective. But some of the decisions they made in episode 10, I was not decision of the characters, decision of the people writing the show and making the show. I was like, no, this is interesting. I see what you're trying to do, but I don't know if this is the most effective way to get to the end of the story. So I gave it an A, mostly because of episode 10 as opposed to an A plus. Because through 9 episodes, I was easily at an A plus, easily, very easily.
I'm in an A minus, so I'll split the difference. You know, I don't want to be the middleman, but I think I couldn't go as far as a B because I had I was so compelled watching most of it, and even episode 9 and 10 for most part, I was compelled watching what was going to happen. But the problem is that we'll get into it in a little bit. It's like they took something that wasn't like Breaking Bad or something and then made it Breaking Bad. And you're just like, okay, cool. Now there's a guy with a head on a turtle in the middle of the desert. All right, sure.
That was such a badass scene in Breaking Bad.
Yeah. Like, all right, sure, okay. But like Breaking Bad and things of that ilk, it is normal people pushed to extraordinary circumstances, and if they follow through with those sort of carnal desires, I think. And I enjoy shows like that, always have. I also enjoy shows where both the main characters are bad people, and we know that early on. Love that. Just not redeemable. Both these people are pieces of shit, and it's awesome. What I hate, what I hate is when people like take that and then say, you know who was the real bad guy this entire time? It happens all the time on the internet. George, the husband, was the real bad guy this entire time. You're like, get the fuck out of my face. Skyler was the bad person the entire time.
The real problem is rich people every time.
Right. I think that does do a pretty good line, toes the line pretty well of being like, the pursuit of money is kind of what this is, the driving factor behind a lot of their decisions, but it doesn't like, it makes fun of her for being rich, and like it makes you less sympathetic for some of her plights than it normally would, but it doesn't like villainize her because she's rich. You know what I'm saying?
It definitely villainizes her boss because she's rich.
Oh, it does do that. Yeah. But she was the most over the top, like, character, like rich person archetype.
Yeah, she was the flattest character in the show, and I was like, "Yeah, this
was played by Melissa Bello, or Maria
easily
Bello,
the most flat person in the show." And I was like, "It is weird to have a character this flat in a show that is this good and this nuanced about its
great
characters
actress,
to have a character like her." Yeah, I thought she did a great job, but it's just like I was like, "Oh, so she has no redeeming qualities? Okay, cool. We're just supposed to hate her. Okay, cool. Let's go on hating her."
And it's a classic stereotype of white person obsessed with specific culture, and it's just like going over the top to prove that she knows about this culture, as even as far as like stealing museum pieces to have in her home. No, I thought it was just really, really entertaining. Bad decisions throughout, and because of those bad decisions, like I said, it was like watching Good Time or Uncut Gems for 10 episodes. Well, I guess 9 episodes. And it was one of those shows or movies that you watch and you say, hey, if we just like sat down and talked about this like a normal adult, none of this would happen. But that's not what we're here for.
Or if we just like let one thing go,
Let it go.
time. Like,
and maybe that was the thing, is like we let all this stuff, we never like act on any of this and, push to the limit. What would you do? That was definitely sort of, I think, the mission statement of all of this. It was also
went to church one time and started letting the beef go, but then the beef started cooking again.
Yeah,
to me, it was
in the church.
Right. It was an interesting
the church.
It was an interesting story. And maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it was an interesting look at sort of being addicted to something or addiction in general and being consumed by that, and not, okay, well, I'm out of it, I'm back, and then something flared up, and so now I'm back doing the same thing that I was doing, and it's ruining my life, but I can't stop talking to her husband, even though she doesn't know that we're friends now, and so on and so forth. Even though I got all of this money, I'm still obsessed with this certain thing, and that is ruin each other's lives. It did jump the shark in the 9th episode, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. As far as the violence goes, it really did. Because like I said, it's one thing to think you're Breaking Bad, and then it's another thing to just do it all of a sudden.
Yeah, and part of the jumping the shark thing for me in the 9th episode is not just what actually happens and the violence of it all. It's the cinematography for it. I was like, this is not the show that we were doing before. You know what I'm saying? This is not we weren't doing this fucking red smoke shit.
We should say it's the highest rated episode on IMDb of this whole series. It didn't jump the shark. I feel like it was a natural. We were building towards it the whole time. It was shocking, but none of it was quote unquote surprising, because I thought we were building it the whole time. And you could tell they really wanted to get into some super violent shit, because it slowly started to become violent when he accosts the other church dude because he thinks that he burned down the house. He was really getting with him. He was punching him. He also has a fight in the house with George. So they started to introduce violence. And also, by the way, a road rage incident where you're chasing people off the road is inherently violent. It's just not violent in the same way episode 9 is. I didn't think that the way we ramped up to 9 felt like we were in a different show. I definitely agree that it looked completely different. The way they shot it was completely different. It was oh, now we're doing our Tarantino episode. But I appreciate that. I loved it. I was like, yeah, let's just throw everybody together at the same time, and let's let crazy shit happen, and let's get that white dude from Dave, and let's make him a criminal, and let's see what happens. I was into it. I had no issues with episode 9.
But I will say the thing to me that escalated the show for me and kept me on the edge of the seat was the threat of violence the entire time. The threat that something might pop off. And when it didn't, it was sort of okay, we got through this episode. Whew, nobody died. You know what I mean?
They hit you with the Chekhov's gun in the first episode. Right.
Or
he
when
masturbates with his fucking gun, in the first episode. Yeah. It's somebody's about to get shot.
Incredible content.
Or, they hit you with the bait and switch of they throw the grandmother down the stairs or whatever. And she ends up being she shakes that off like a wide receiver coming over the middle. She just gets back up. She's good. Has one night stay in the hospital. She's fine.
Back to finessing immediately.
Right. Yeah, A- for me. One of the better things that I think, controversy notwithstanding, one of the better things that I think that I've watched so far this year. They said, and here's my final point. Not everything let TV shows be TV shows and movies be movies. I think podcasts and people talking about films now do a really bad job now because everything is a TV series and not everything is a movie. Like it seems easier to get television series made now than it seems to get movies made. 20 years ago, this would probably be a movie. I would say it should have been a movie to me. If this was a 2 hour and 25-minute good time special, we would have been nominating this shit for Oscars.
I don't agree.
Yes, we would.
I also don't agree.
I don't agree. This is a TV show through and through. It's a one season. It's 10 hours. It's no season 2. It's perfect as a 10-episode arc.
The creator already said they have a 3-season arc planned out.
No,
I'm not watching.
Please don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that.
I will not be there.
We don't need to see any more of this story. We don't need any more.
Leave it where it's at, man. I'm good.
And also leave David Cho where he is, which is not on a movie set. Hopefully, leave him at home.
I will say, is this A24's first foray into television? Is this their first one?
No.
I don't think so. And if it is, we're going to have to really have a conversation about A24 being at the top of the game right now.
They also did that Mo show for Netflix last year.
Oh, they did do Mo.
Comedy. I don't remember what other TV shows they've done, but they've done at least that other one for Netflix.
No, okay. So they've done some stuff on like random like USA Network and stuff like that.
And they're doing that show with The Weeknd and Sam Levinson, which looks like real sicko content.
Fucking
doing
boo.
Talking about sicko content, yeah.
It looks sicko, bro. It looks like some sicko content.
Yeah.
Also, they have Euphoria season 2 listed, so they worked with Euphoria with Sam Levinson on season 2, but not season 1. I find that weird.
Cool, dope. Right. No, the first thing that they did some stuff with years ago in 2014. So they've been doing this for a decade, but that was the first time that I've sort of noticed the A24 logo in front of stuff. They did Rami too, which is everybody's favorite show that I haven't watched.
I haven't watched it either.
I haven't watched it either.
So yeah, let's get into spoiler territory. If you don't want beef spoiled for you, or it's right there on Netflix. You can watch it in a day. We didn't. That's why this episode's coming out late. But spoilers for Beef. Where do y'all want to start?
Let's start with what's our main character's name? The guy, Daniel. What's his name?
Yeah, Danny.
Let's talk about Danny being the worst person of all time.
Exactly.
Sure.
Danny is the worst person of all time.
The fucking worst.
Within 10 minutes of actual TV time, they showed him throwing away his brother's college admission papers because he wanted his brother to stay with him as opposed to go off to college and develop his own identity.
That's the worst thing that I've ever seen anybody do. Regardless of the murders and things, I'm just like, that's so sick.
After you see that flashback, the next scene is him lying to his brother about burning the house down because he realizes that he built the house wrong and used the wrong insulation and the house burned down because of him. And instead of telling his brother, hey, I fucked that up, he basically makes his brother believe that it was his, or lets his brother believe that it was his fault because he went and said something mean to Ali Wong's to George. So he basically lets his brother, 5 minutes after we just saw him do the worst thing I think I've ever seen someone do, he did something arguably worse, which is incredible efficiency in one episode to do the shittiest things that I've ever seen. He's a horrible person. Obviously, so is Ali Wong's character, but Danny is a special, different type of piece of shit, bro. And
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Everything is Danny's fault. Like literally everything.
Literally everything is his fault.
Cause it's like, yeah, like she was a bitch honking at you and flicking you off or whatever in the parking lot. But like, bro, why'd you show up to her house and piss all over her bathroom? Who does that? Like, why did you do that? Why did you catfish her husband into being your friend? What? Who does that?
Let us not forget she catfished his very impressionable younger brother too.
Yeah, but at least she was trying to get some dick out of it.
That is weird behavior.
At least he was trying to get some dick out of it. He was just hanging out.
Well, she wasn't originally trying to sleep with him, but then it just kind of they hit it off, and then they were hanging out, and then they slept together.
At least she had the guts to be like, "Yeah, I was catfishing you," and he was like, "I'm still with it though." Like, like
No, you're giving her too much credit because it came out because he went to the store and saw the girl whose picture she was using. If you're going to catfish someone, don't use the pictures of someone you actually know and work with because somebody could easily walk into the job and think that that is his secret lover when really it is a perfect stranger white woman that he's never talked to before. That was all-time bad decision making, and her getting found out in that way was pretty hilarious.
Well, was
but
that
still,
because
she
her husband
admitted
was
it. She ain't like tripled down and lied.
jerking it? Was that because
Her husband was jerking it to her tits, and so she goes, "If my husband likes this girl, then his brother probably likes this girl too." This poor woman was being used by a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
Right.
And it was just never seen again, by the way.
Yeah, gets out of the car.
Just never popped up again. She was just gone after that.
But yeah, man,
Also,
so much
shout
of
out-
the show is just Danny's fault. Like, you are the problem. You burnt your parents' house down because you suck. Like,
Well, yeah, and also the worst person in the world. We're like, churches pay taxes, please, but also like we're ripping off a church that hadn't done anything to anybody.
That's
Literally,
so
like-
that was so nasty.
ruin those people's marriage because he wanted to be a weirdo.
Also, one of the most accurate like depictions of modern church that I've seen in cinema is really good.
I thought that was a great scene when he first goes to the church and he's very emotional.
Yeah.
I thought that was a super great scene.
And then when he's schooling them in basketball and the super
Pastors like just fucking
religious guys like fuck. Yeah. So the whole scheme though too, I kind of did get lost in the sauce about like what their whole bait and switch was, is that like somehow the David Cho character had a lot of money stored and that they were going to funnel it through the church by not actually like getting building material. Like what was the whole thing?
Yeah, I got kind of lost on what that scheme was too. I think the only important takeaway was that you realize that he had a bunch of money in those rice cookers, and then when he goes to jail, then Danny starts to make shit do the same scheme. It also was very amazing the way they like everything Danny touches will fail, and you know that because he's Danny. So like he gets to a good place. He's in church. He's got the scheme going. He's built himself a house. He's built his brother a house. He's built his parents a house. And he wants this love and this affection from his parents and this acceptance from his parents. And then like he burns their house down. They're like,
Bye.
all right, we're just going to go back to Korea. I'm not dealing with this shit. I'm not dealing with your shit. I'm done with this. I'm gone. And it all comes crashing down in such a cool way. I thought they did such a good job of telling that story and also making it like, oh, this is all your fault. Like this house burned down. First, we thought it was his ops. It wasn't his ops. We knew it wasn't. We knew it wasn't Ali Wong's character because we had seen where she was at the time. But even after he realizes it's his fault, he still goes into Ali Wong's house and tries to plant stuff in there and then ends up knocking out her husband. Like nothing that Danny tried to be successful at, he was ever successful at, and that makes him at least different in some ways. I like the way that they made the Ali Wong character and the Stephen Yeun character the same in a lot of ways, but also different in a lot of ways. I thought that really was the spice of the show because they are different in a lot of ways, although they have some similarities and they have some repressed anger issues that they've been dealing with, and obviously they're taking it out on each other. But I just thought they did a very good job of making two distinct characters as opposed to, oh, this story is about two people that hate each other, but really they're just alike. I just think that's an easy story to tell, and they told a story that was much more nuanced and difficult to tell, and I appreciated that.
Also, all-time scumbag gaslight move when that guy comes to ask him for like work and money or whatever, and like he's like, "What are you even talking about, man?" It was great acting from Stephen Yeun. He's like, "I've
He
built all
almost
this by
had me. I
myself."
was like, wait, no, like y'all are selling.
Am I
drugs
tripping?
here, right? Like, did I miss some subtext here? Like, y'all are selling drugs for sure, right? Like that's what
Y'all
we're
doing
doing.
something. Y'all doing something wrong.
Yeah, made him apologize for coming in there for you being a scumbag. Incredible. Yeah. So let's
Let's talk about
Let's just-
episode 9.
Let's talk about episode 9 because it's the penultimate episode and it's the highest rated episode. I think a lot of people, and obviously we have thoughts about it. So David Cho gets out of jail, which
because
prophetic.
Ali Wong
And
starts to confess everything. So she basically is like coming clean to everybody. So she calls and tells the cops, hey, that he wasn't driving the car, so he's not related to any of this. So David Cho gets out.
Because they're somehow now looking for the person that was in these road rage incidents. Like what was okay. And so they're now looking for that person. The car somehow gets flipped. I thought that was really smart. The truck gets flipped and is registered to the Cho character.
Dude, yes.
So he goes to jail. She starts confessing to these things. He gets out of jail and then comes down to hunt Danny because
Danny snitched on
Danny sold him out.
Danny sold him out, but also he used all of his money in the house that burned down. And Cho owes these people. Was it Filipino? You kept saying the Filipinos.
The Filipinos. I think he said $100,000. Is that what it was? Yeah,
something. So he owes them money. He, in the weirdest, like, just turn around and take the girl back. I guess you probably would still get arrested, but like, Danny accidentally kidnaps Ali Wong's daughter.
That doesn't make any sense to not turn around.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many little escalations. When it's like, bro, you're doing something that makes zero fucking sense. Like, even for somebody in a shitty situation, I would be like, oh shit, there's a kid in the car. Let me get this kid out of here.
I'm just gonna drop her back off at home.
Anonymous tip, she's on the corner, you know.
Well, they tried to address it by saying like something could happen to her wherever he drops her at, but like he could have called Ali right then and been like, I'm dropping your daughter off. Don't ask any fucking questions. Your husband is fine. Well, he didn't know her husband was fine at that point, but I'm dropping her off. She's fine. No worries. But instead,
I thought that's what was going to happen is that he calls Ali. Her name's Amy in the show.
What's her name? Amy. Sorry.
Amy.
Yes.
He calls Amy and is just like, look, I know we have this thing. Like, I somehow accidentally have your daughter. Like, here she is.
Whoops.
You know what I mean? Whoops. Yeah. And
that's
how the beef continues is like, you fucking weirdo. Why do you still have, why do you have my daughter? What did you do to my now ex-husband? But
the same daughter he almost literally blew up in a car, which was the most insane thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know, bro.
I forgot about that.
Like, oh, I can't drop her off on the corner. Something bad might happen to her. You mean like you might
when you almost
someone might
her
pick
car
her up?
When you almost burned her alive
and take her to a den full of criminals? Like,
literally.
Oh man, what would we ever do? But then the Cho character gets a really bright idea that now he's going to blackmail Amy for $500,000. Just don't do that. You know what I mean?
Just do the opposite of that. Just don't do that.
And it's a really weird thing to where it's like, I guess it's a really big jump to me. Dex, I believe this is where I think you're at, where, I can't get the money, but there's all these artifacts in this house, which they do a couple of times in this show. There's all these artifacts in this house. Come steal those.
Insane decision by Amy to say, hey, as opposed to calling the cops or doing anything else or trying to get the money together, just come to where I physically am, where I am also a part of the danger, and come here and steal, and just don't tell them that I sent you here. Okay, bye.
Come rob the woman who was supposed to be giving me $10 million.
Yeah, who's bankrolling my whole operation because she just doesn't like her for some reason. I don't know what the animosity was there.
She's a racist, rich asshole, but still a horrible plan by Amy. At least get out of the house. Just get out. Just leave. Just say, hey, come rob her, but I'm not going to be here for any robbery. So I'm just going to go home. Cough, cough. I'm sick. I'm going home. Like, what are you doing?
Like, I don't know about y'all. I've never been in a situation where like I owe a Korean prison gang several $100,000.
Filipino prison gang.
I've never been in that situation, but I feel like they're not going to accept, hey, give
artifacts.
Me some time.
Hey, I got this dope ass chair. I got this dope ass chair for y'all,
headdress.
I don't have your money, but I have these art pieces. So if you give me a couple time, like some time,
I can move it. Just let me
go to the auction scene. Like, And
Yeah,
like,
how do you if you steal that chair? How do you
movies.
move it? Everyone's gonna be able to trace it. Like everybody, we know this chair. This shit. Like, what do you?
I've
You can't sell
always-
that to me.
That's what the next scene should have been, is them struggling to like, I know a guy on the black market, and it's just an undercover cop. Like,
Found the guy on Craigslist said he'll buy this chair for $35K. Like,
Yeah.
no, you don't.
Yeah, the chair is worth $100,000 or whatever, but some dude on the black market who knows that will give me $45K for it instead. So
dumb plan, no cash in hand. That's so stupid.
Incredibly dumb plan, but sometimes you need a dumb plan to further the plot. And Amy, first of all, Danny being like, "No, let's not do this," but really, okay, I'll go along with it. It's like, yeah, you brought a girl into a situation. And he didn't know that his cousin was out of jail, obviously, but he knows the kind of people he hangs around. And having this little girl around mad criminals is just not a good idea. Like, objectively bad idea. You know, these are not the type of people that you should bring kids around. So instead, you bring him over there. You bring your brother into it, which isn't fair to him and almost cost him his life. You should deal with this
pop
on your
up
own.
on your brother with this kid.
Yeah, don't just pop up in the middle of a kidnapping. If Dex comes to my house mid-kidnapping, I'm gonna say, what are you doing at my house? Why did you come here? You're in the middle of a kidnapping. Finish the kidnapping first, then I can holler at you later, bro. Why would you come to my house?
Also, it's like his ex-lover's daughter too. That's gonna look extra weird.
Yeah, it's gonna look trash. It's gonna look horrible. Yeah, that girl that catfished
No way
me,
you could.
This is her daughter.
Thing. Yeah. So they start the robbery operation of this in Dick Cheney mask, which I thought was actually pretty funny.
Hilarious.
But like
Big Baby Driver vibes.
yeah, so they start this robbery and they just are putting everything in bags, but
Go yard bags.
Danny and Paul try to choke out the one of the other henchmen, I guess, if you will, and try to put her in the car and leave.
The kid into the car and leave.
Kid into the car and leave. And then don't, because they get picked up by
They got jammed up.
They got jammed. Yeah,
They got jammed up because the guy said the guy asked them, "Where is so and so?" Right? Isn't that what happened? And
Yeah.
Other dude popped out with a gun and was like, "Where's blah blah blah?"
Yeah.
So the cops are somehow coming, and instead of cutting bait and just leaving, they take their mask off and expose themselves and try to blame it on Danny and Paul.
Yeah, that was weird as hell.
Then a chase. It was really convoluted. Then like a chase ensues, and this woman and her partner try to get into a panic room, and her partner closes the door too soon and cuts her in half.
The other Asian girl was a big hater. It made perfect sense that she waited a second. The woman was like, "Don't close it without me." She waits. She's looking. She's like, "Nah, fuck that. He a little bit too close to you." Presses the button. Now, obviously, she doesn't know it's going to cut the woman in half. She thinks it's going to slam in the woman's face. But either way, you're killing her the same way. If this guy is actually trying to kill this woman, you leaving her out there and you cutting her in half with the door, same outcome. Same outcome.
Which is like the most, the most insane escalation of violence.
In her house, by the way. You're doing
seen.
this in someone's house. This is her house. Like, you're doing this in her house.
This whole time, since episode 1, we got shown Ali Wong's gun, right? And we've seen it like time and time after that. Like Ali Wong's like fucking pointing the gun at her iPhone and shit. George is pointing the gun at Danny. Like, we've seen this gun multiple times. We are waiting and waiting for somebody to get shot. And then like the least consequential character in the story gets chopped in half by a door. I was like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, where did that come from?
Unbelievable Tarantino-esque level of like escalation there. So Danny and Paul are left in the courtyard. They get into the two criminals get in a shootout with the cops. They get it. One gets killed. The other, the Cho character gets arrested. Ali Wong Amy is safe. Paul gets over a wall and gets shot at by the cop like immediately. Like they don't even say, "Hey, stop." They're just like. So Danny thinks he's dead. He sneaks out eventually after all the cops go away from this massive crime scene that I'm sure would, only take 2 hours. I'm sure, whatever. And
by the way, part of the reason that I was like the cinematography and the way the show is shot is just like an insane escalation. It's because like after the panic room shit happens, the whole house just fills with, it's like all the lights go out and turn
like
red.
Yeah.
And then it's just like full of some kind of smoke that's unexplained. Like nobody knows. I don't know what the fuck that was, but like
didn't make a lot of sense.
Red smoke everywhere, and like it looks cool, but like
it looks cool as shit.
Just not like the rest of the show. So I was like, why?
So he steals a Hummer and he drives past Ali Wong's character, lamenting that now she won't have custody of her daughter because George sends her an email like, "Get the fuck away from my kid, you psycho." And they have another chase, which I will say the like road rage stuff in this is really good. Like the car scenes, the chase scenes are very good. They have another chase and mutually assured destruction. They both roll off a California cliff. And that's the end of the episode. And I said, okay. And I said,
that's where the story fell off a cliff. No pun intended for me. I was like, wait a second.
I said, if this was a movie, people would have hated it. That's where you end the movie.
You end the movie right there.
Right there. You just end it, and everybody goes, "What the fuck?" That's and you have to justify that in the press tour.
I would, in fact, have hated it.
Yeah.
I would have hated that.
So, what do y'all think about the 10th episode? And then we'll wrap up what we thought about Beef.
I wasn't having a lot of fun with them being in the woods together, doing drugs together by mistake, fighting over the gun, flirting. I wasn't really into that, but I like what happens after they get out of the woods. Once George sees him and immediately reacts by shooting him, we finally got the moment Dexter talking about. Somebody had to shoot somebody with that gun. Well, Danny got shot, which I appreciated that. But then having her laying on him, obviously it was like, it's not like hidden that there's people, even other characters infer like, hey, are you in love with this guy? Like, what's really going on with this? So like, there was always some, some
there's some underlying tension there for
me too. It was clear to see that there was some underlying tension there of like, there might be some attraction between these two people. So I knew that's where they were going to end up. I'm assuming that's where they're going in season 2, which no, thank you. I don't want to see that, but I was fine with that aspect of it. But everything in the woods, I was like, I understand why we're doing it. Having her talk when it's him talking, she's talking as if she's him, he's talking as if it's her. It's just like, okay, this is like a cool movie filmmaking trick, but I don't think it's serving my view of where the plot is going. So that whole like 40 minutes where they were trapped in the woods together didn't do much for me personally, but I liked the way that they ended it. I was fine with that.
Yeah, I like the
I hated the coma thing. If they were going to leave him in a coma, I was like, I fucking hate this.
But he wasn't in a coma.
Wasn't he?
I guess he is. I didn't think like that. I thought he was just like sleep from the medicine. I didn't think about a coma.
Yeah, he like hugged her back, like when she like.
He's on a fucking ventilator.
Still, he like, it's like
at the very end, which I guess is some resolution. But like, I know
plenty resolution for me. Leave it right there.
I know that they're going to make. They're trying to make a second season, and I'm kind of like, this
Please
stinks.
Don't.
Because what's the like? It doesn't justify having a say like what's the beef now?
They're definitely going to make another season because Netflix is in need of content. So
is it we have beef with George? It's fuck George time. Like, what are we talking about?
Probably because like they did the whole thing where like George is like, my lawyer like is looking for you, blah blah blah. Like they'll probably try and resolve that. Probably do something with her and the kid. Obviously Danny and his brother Paul have some shit to work out now, like, so maybe there'll be like,
and Amy and Paul as well have some stuff to work out.
Yeah, so like there's a lot of unanswered questions, but like I said in the group chat, I would rather just have those questions be unanswered. Like I'm cool with leaving it where it is, And if they make a second season, I'm not watching that shit. I'm good because I know it'll be terrible. Like, there's no way it's going to be good.
Block is too hot. They're not going to make a second one.
No, yes, they will. Oh,
I feel like
nobody's
they
gonna be
will.
talking about this shit in 2 weeks. They definitely making another one. It's too much money to be made.
If they made another season of House of Cards without Kevin Spacey,
You know what?
like-
True. Okay.
That's
Yeah.
facts.
You know
That's
what?
facts. David Cho won't be in the show, but they're gonna make another season, and they'll just talk about Isaac as being an off-screen character who helps the plot in some way, but he doesn't actually appear on screen. That's what it
Yeah,
is.
he's in
Fucking
jail. Done.
Recast.
He's in jail.
I hate when shows don't do this. Just recast the thing. Like
Yeah,
they're
they could
gonna.
do that.
Do him
I
like
don't
Jonathan
understand.
Majors.
I don't understand. Like we're smart enough to realize. What are we gonna do? We're gonna be like, oh, that's not the same guy, so it doesn't make sense. And we're like, no, like we get it.
You call him Isaac one time, and we're like, oh, that's Isaac or whatever his name is.
Do y'all have a favorite for the new Kang Because it seems like, given everything Jonathan Majors is going through, there are already rumors that he's going to be recast. He's already filmed Loki season 2, so he will appear in that. But after that, with Kang Dynasty and all the stuff after that, we don't really know what's going to happen yet. If he is being recast, who do y'all like?
To me,
I like the
Yaya.
James and Idris or whatever his name is. Snowfall.
To me, it would have been Yaya, but he's already slated to play Wonder Man, whatever that is. On
Yeah, I don't
Not
know
a
what that
real
is, but I
thing.
did see that.
They could just stop making that and just make him Kang, which would be the right play. But if not Yaya, give it to John Boyega. The Disney Corporation owes that man.
I love
Facts.
me some John Boyega. I would love that.
Yeah,
all
we
good
got
choices.
plenty of guys out here now that you can do
Yeah,
this.
Jonathan Majors, you might have overestimated your own. Obviously, you're a very talented actor, but there are plenty of people out here that can be Kang, brother. And if all Kang's going to do is get cooked by Ant-Man, let me tell you right now, I can play Kang right now, bros. I can get cooked by Ant
And
right
bro,
now.
if they can
And in the audition tape.
if they can make Don Cheadle be Terrence Howard, then they can replace you with any old body, dog.
Speaking of
Facts.
recasting, we all just accepted that very quickly. We were
all just
"Yeah,
like,
sure."
okay, done.
Same thing with Bruce Banner. It was like, oh yeah, that Hulk movie that doesn't exist. And also, look, oh my God, you love this guy. He's your new Hulk. And we were like, all right, cool. Let's go with it.
Sure.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, so Beef, Marvel, Netflix. Anything else to talk about? Where does Netflix got a good one that, thousands of people stream like Outer Banks or whatever the fuck Wednesday, but this is like the first one that they've had since, Stranger Things is prestige TV, but in a different way. You know what I'm saying? I don't know since when was the last time that they kind of had a show like this.
Those numbers for Beef season 2 not going to hit the same, but this was a great thing. They did a great job with this. It's just unfortunate that they stubbed their own toe when they were making something good, because you had everything you needed to make something good, and you stubbed your own toe, and you curbed some of the momentum just because of this casting choice that y'all made, which maybe y'all had to make because you had to appease the 2 stars, which means it comes back to being on the 2 stars, and everybody's a little bit accountable, and it just sucks.
I haven't seen it yet because I don't watch a lot of TV. This was my TV show for the quarter, to be honest. But apparently this Carrie Russell thing Netflix has right now is the hottest shit in the streets. So
All right.
they're on.
I forget they're still doing The Crown. People like that Lupin show.
The
but
Crown.
yeah.
I made it through like half an episode of season 5, and I was like, actually, I don't care anymore. Never mind.
Yeah, this isn't even our drama. Why do I care about that?
Also, she died.
Right.
I'm good now. Like, it doesn't matter.
Be interesting to see how they address that one. Yeah, so Beef on Netflix. Check it out or don't. Who cares? Next, we are going to do Best Beefs draft. Take that however you want. We are going to do the Best Beefs drafts 1 through 4. We're going to pause for 2 seconds. Be right back.
Our Grizzlies currently fighting.
Good.
91-88 Grizzlies.
Even
baby.
though somebody just got hit in the nuts again. It feels like every other game somebody's getting hit in the
Every
nuts.
fucking game.
What is going on in Adam Silver's NBA, bro? What's with all these gunshots? Everybody got to wear a cup out there these days. It's nasty.
All right. Do we have a draft order or how we want to do this?
Any order
No.
works for me.
Dex T. Droyden.
All right.
Cool. I will write these down.
Best beefs.
Dex T. Royden. Okay. So I only thought about this a little bit, but I feel like, the number one overall beef has to be Tupac and Biggie. Like,
Yeah,
that's the quintessential beef.
That's facts.
that is the titular beef.
Yeah, like that's both of those dudes died like either right before or right after I was born, and they were younger than me when they died. But like everyone just remembers like Tupac and Biggie having that beef for forever. Like just fucking insane to think about these like two 25-year-olds who died.
And they were so young. I always
died
forget that.
more than 25 years ago at this point. And we're all like, those are the two greatest rappers of all time. And it's like, bro, like, can you imagine calling a 25-year-old rapper right now the greatest of all time? We'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Hell no.
Ew. Yeah.
But those dudes,
How old
like,
is NBA YoungBoy?
Yeah, I was gonna say NBA
can't be
YoungBoy, the
greatest.
goat.
Yuck.
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild when you think about how young Biggie and Tupac were. NBA YoungBoy is 23. So if in 2 years you look back and you're like, yeah, NBA YoungBoy is the GOAT, like that'd be fucking nuts. But that's what we did for Biggie and Tupac, partially because their beef was just that influential and impactful and crazy, and they're both dead. But yeah, Tupac and Biggie.
I saw a clip. It went viral of everybody forgets how like I don't know how confrontational. I guess I don't know that probably wasn't the word, but like that Snoop Dogg was, and it was him at either the Source or I forget what it was, where he was just like getting booed on stage, and he's like, "Y'all don't like the West Coast now," or whatever, and everybody forgets just how like violent it all was. Now that
Y'all don't got love for the West Coast?
yeah, that's what it is. And now that Snoop Dogg is selling sheets with Martha Stewart, but like it crazy. Yeah. Okay. Tej.
I'm picking a beef that is still brewing to this day. To this day, if you Google either of these people's name or Google their names together, you're going to see recent news stories. And my beef is Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan.
Damn it.
Isaiah Thomas fucking hates Michael Jordan. This stuff that they're arguing about happened 40 years ago, and they're still arguing about it as if it happened yesterday. Well, really, only Isaiah Thomas is arguing about it. But MJ made the documentary. Isaiah Thomas was in it. He made Isaiah Thomas look like a fool.
I can't believe they agreed to be in it.
That's a dumb thing. If you're in beef, you're in beef for life. And when you act like it's not beef, then he's gonna take a chance to get the cheap shot. That's what he did. He got some amazing content out of Isaiah saying the stuff that he said in the documentary. Isaiah didn't like that. Did not put the beef back on. And this beef is never going to end. It's never going to end. These people are going to pass away. RIP to them. And they're still going to have beef in the grave. It's never going to end. Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas.
Michael Jordan is going to show up at Isaiah Thomas's funeral and talk shit. Like
facts.
This could also, I'm not going to pick this, but this could be like Michael Jordan versus literally everyone, and he was like shitting on everyone
versus his teammates versus Pippen.
Yeah, versus Steve Kerr. He was like shitting on people during his Hall of Fame press conference or Hall of Fame speech. He's like, y'all didn't believe
on the guy
me?
Who made the high school varsity basketball team over him. Years later, he shit on him in the speech. He invited him just so he could shit on him. Michael Jordan is super petty. He's
all-time hater. All-time hater for being one of the most successful people ever. All-time hater.
The hate fueled him to greatness.
Yeah. Mine is Hollywood celebrities and cleanliness.
Oh, shit.
every single week on here, we get a new update about how Jared Leto doesn't wear deodorant and like rubs crystals under his arms, or how like what was it that Mila Kunis and I don't know if this is true, but it was just like they said it in an interview. Mila Kunis and them and Ashton Kutcher don't bathe their kids, and like Matthew McConaughey, Matthew McConaughey has been known to not wear deodorant, and it's just like there's a one common thread in all of this stuff.
Liam Neeson is walking around with piss pants.
Piss pants. Jake Gyllenhaal, same thing. Not piss pants, but like not wearing deodorant. Why do we need to know this? First of all, don't tell us this. You don't have to tell us this. Second of all,
wash your ass.
Yeah, I'll take the cancer if I smell better. I'm just being honest. Like I don't care if the patchouli, oil doesn't last as long as Dove. So that's my number one. My number two is Harrison Ford and interviewers.
What?
Have you never seen a Harrison Ford interview? Actually, let me change that. Harrison Ford and Star Wars fans.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
He doesn't give a fuck about them. And he the funniest interview of all time is like, do you think that Han shot first or Greedo shot first? And he says, I don't care. The funniest interview ever. Yeah,
leave me alone.
Like, fuck it. I'm famous. Why do I give a shit about a movie that came out in 1979? All you nerds need to stop asking me this shit. So yeah, that's Harrison Ford versus any interview about Star Wars.
I'm gonna take another classic beef.
It's my turn.
Oh, Steve, you're right.
I'm going to take every female rapper ever. They're all beefing all the time. All of them. All the current rappers are beefing. Sometimes the beefs are fake. Sometimes the beefs are real. Sometimes they collaborate with people specifically based on the beef chart and who they're beefing with. And it usually centers around Cardi and Nicki Minaj. And they have their offsprings. And then they have people that they like and other women they don't like. And it's just very fascinating because they always go to Twitter and argue and do all that. And the fan bases get all toxic and crazy. And it's very fun content to watch from the outside, but it is toxic as fuck on the inside. And I have been accosted by the Nicki Minaj bunch for some shit I said. And it was awful, and it was horrible, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone because those people are fucking crazy. So I'm picking the girlies, the rap girlies. That is my answer.
Incredible. Dex, 2 picks.
So I'm going to go with one just very basic all-time beef. The Hatfields and the McCoys. I don't know if y'all watched that History Channel like mini series that they did.
It's very good show.
Incredible cinema. That shit banged.
It's on Netflix again, I think.
Yeah, shout out to the Baylor alum who wrote that or directed it or whatever it was that he did. But yeah, that's just incredible content. They had beef for years over like a stolen pig or some shit, and like 80 people died.
They call it a battle. Like they had a war in a field. What?
Yeah, folks really had to die. Like it was serious. Like it wasn't
like this isn't even folklore. It's just like something they know happened not that long ago.
Yeah, all things considered, not that fucking long ago. Like two dudes used to be cool with each other, and then the Civil War happened, and then somebody's pig got stolen, and then like 80 people died. Like it's just all time
marrying each other and stuff like that too. It's
just
like,
there's a little Romeo and Juliet action going on. Like
those Appalachia beefs are different.
And then I gotta go with Alabama Auburn, the Iron Bowl.
Oh, this is
just
amazing.
Because shout out to my guy, like, well, not my guy, but shout out to the guy who was just so pissed at Auburn fans that he just went and poisoned their trees. You're just like, fuck your trees.
Harvey Updike.
Yeah, Harvey Updike.
He went to big jail over that too.
Yeah, he was just like,
yeah, hell yeah, they don't play about trees.
Especially not those trees. You could have poisoned any other 2 trees in the world, but you poisoned those. So now you got to go to big fucking jail. Like, and you know it's real when that happens, when somebody's willing to do that. So yeah, shout out to Alabama and Auburn. They've given us some great wars over the years.
Incredible. Auburn's gonna win the football game.
Greatest radio call of all time. That radio call is so good.
They don't
That,
play
like,
the
it's
ESPN
amazing.
call.
All of us have just chosen to remember it like that's the way we
just
heard it the
said,
first
fuck
time.
the national broadcast call. We're gonna listen to the radio call because that
none
is
of us
superior
heard the
call.
radio call live, but we all just choose to remember it like we did. Like that's how fucking good that shit was.
Auburn's gonna win the football. Oh my god!
They're not gonna be able to keep him off the field tonight.
Incredible. Tej, another pick.
I'm going to go with the University of Oklahoma in big games as my it is extremely poverty institution I got over there in Oklahoma. And going back to the Stoops era, they have lost basically every big game they've ever played in. Last year, they played Texas like they do every year. We beat them 49-0. I can't believe they even showed their faces on the timeline stuff that happened. Me personally, I would have just deleted my account and went and jumped off a bridge somewhere. But Oklahoma fans are more resilient than me, maybe. Oklahoma in big games. Also, I think this is still the case. Oklahoma has the largest margin of victory, or the largest margin of victory against them. They lost in the Final Four, I think, ever. One year they lost in the Final Four by like 35 points. This might have been the Trae Young season. They got absolutely stomped the fuck out. It was beautiful carnage. They've lost a whole bunch of football national championship games by big margins. Florida did some nasty stuff to them. SEC teams used to run through them. They go undefeated or they lose
2019
one game.
LSU did them boys.
They show up to the game. LSU struck like 65 on them. Like that's a very nasty team, and that team in big games just don't get along. This year they didn't have very many big games because they were 6-7 in their ass, but they did play in one big game against Texas. They lost 49-0. Some traditions never die. Oklahoma losing big games is something that will always be the case, and that is their big games are their biggest ops and the biggest downfall of their whole organization. I'm taking Oklahoma versus big games.
They got like 8 LSU players drafted in the first round and got Dave Aranda a head coaching job. Like,
Unbelievable.
That shit was so nasty.
Well, along those lines, my next pick is Texas and being back.
Oh, brother. God damn it.
You knew it was coming, Tej.
I should have known this was coming.
Man, they have been fighting that good fight for 20 years, brother.
Hey, let me tell you something, brothers. It's time. We are fucking back now.
Are you sure?
Y'all better be, to be honest. Because if it ain't now, it's never.
Paying far too much money.
I'm more sure than I usually am in April going into the season. I'll say that.
Because the Big 12 is some ass this year. So
the Big 12 is some butt.
If y'all can't win it this year, and then you got to go to the SEC after this, y'all are cooked forever.
And it's scary hours. And the line's not going to hit the same if we lose 4 games this year. And then, SEC next year, the line's not going to hit the same at all. So if we're going to take our line ways to the SEC, we kind of have to shit or get off the pot right now
with
in the
some
Big
trophies.
12.
Yeah.
We got to at least come in with a trophy, say, oh my God, we won the Big 12. It's scary hours. We win the SEC. We could do that. But if we come in 4th in the Big 12, we can't really go say we're going to win the SEC.
Y'all cannot finish the Big 12 era at Texas with the same number of Big 12 championships as Baylor. Y'all just can't do that.
Can't do it.
God,
y'all have to win this year.
Simply cannot. Like a talking head, you just simply cannot do it. You simply have to be better. Tej, when do the Fire Sark stuff start? Week 4? Week 5?
I haven't looked
at y'all play
UCF
yet,
but it's coming.
We don't play UCF.
Wait, do you play BYU?
No, we play Houston and we play. No, we don't play BYU or UCF. We play Houston and Louisville. That's who it is.
Cincinnati.
I think we play Louisville.
Oh, okay. Anyway, whenever the new Big 12 team comes in and Sark shits the bed, that's when it starts.
If we lose to one of the newbies, they're definitely going to want him fired. So I'm with you on that. It's if he loses to one of the newbies, it's time.
We got Texas at Alabama September 9th. Then Wyoming at Texas September 16th, which that's a win. Texas at Baylor September 23rd. And Kansas at Texas September 30th.
Ooh.
Fire Sark is starting
that's
September
5-0.
30th.
That's 5-0. 6-0 Oklahoma, 7-0 Houston. Oh, we do play BYU. 8-0 Kansas State. That'll be a tough game. 9-0 TCU's going to be ass this year, 10-0. Iowa State is ass every year, 11-0, and then we got to beat Texas Tech. And we need some get back because Texas Tech beat us last year, and that's the loss that made me the most angry of last year.
Didn't Joey McGuire basically say, like, I told you they were pussy?
Yes, he said, I told you they would break, and they broke. He said that right after the game to the press, and I said, from that day forward, I said, oh, we need to drop 70 points on Joey McGuire's face.
Joe McGuire's the ops.
I don't like Joey McGuire.
Hey, Joey McGuire is my ops too, if it makes you feel better. I know a lot of Baylor people don't want to hear that, but fuck him. All right.
Enemy of my enemy. My next pick is Wagyu. No, I'm kidding. My next pick is a one tried and true is Tej versus the island nation of Jamaica.
Oh my god! First of all, I love the island nation of Jamaica and all the inhabitants.
Sure.
I love Usain Bolt. Big fan. It was a misunderstanding.
I think that's the funniest part is that you were trying to hype up Usain Bolt and like everyone was like, "Fuck you."
It was awful.
Real.
A whole country was packing me up. Bro. It was nasty.
I don't like. How did a whole country find your tweet?
Because
well, also he quote tweeted
reference it. He didn't interact with the tweet, but he referenced it. He put checked in quotation marks and posted a picture of himself, and everybody knew what he was referencing because they had been packing me up for a whole day already. So once it died down, I woke up and Usain Bolt tweeted that, and then it ramped back up because all the people from Jamaica went and saw it, and they were putting my tweet under his tweet. They were saying he's talking about this tweet right here, and it was nasty. It was a free for all.
They were like, "Get him, get him."
I could not even follow like what happened. It was so chaotic. I don't know how you even withstood. I would have cried. I would have deleted. I would have deactivated. I couldn't do it because you were trying to say a nice thing.
Yes, I was trying to to compare him and being a champion and somewhat of a shit talker to another person who was just talking shit and getting cooked. And I was like, if you're going to talk shit, you better like back that shit up, especially at the Olympics, especially on the biggest stage. Like Usain Bolt was talking shit and high stepping for the last quarter of the race, but who can check him? Like nobody was. You can't say anything to him. He kept winning, and then it was from there. It was a free for all on my mentions. It was a battle royale on my mentions. It was nasty.
Do you think you can go? Do you think you can go to the
beautiful
island nation of Jamaica?
I think it's been enough time. There were people telling me that there were news reports about this, and they were posting my Abby and the news reports in Jamaica, but I have never confirmed that. But hopefully, I'll let it die down for a few years, and I can visit because I want to go and smoke weed and have a good time.
You got to check in with Damian Marley.
Yeah, I got to check in, bro. I just need to know who I got to check in with. I'll check in. I'll make it good, bro. I'll make it good.
So they got a mugshot of you like Old West out on like the corners on I'm gonna
walk into
telephone poles.
Walk into a hotel or something, just see my picture hanging on the wall, be like, yeah, I think we need to get out of here right now. Obviously, it's not over this yet. We need to get out right now.
Okay, Tej, final pick.
My final pick is Luka and carbs. Luka is a failure. He is a whiner. He's a complainer, and he also is doughy and fat. And so I'm picking Luka and carbs because one, I hate Luka Doncic. He stinks. And two, he just let his team opt out of the playoffs basically by not even trying to get into the playoffs. And a real champion and hero would never have let that happen, even if everybody else sat. And he said, no, I'm going to play. And then he played for one quarter. Hey, Luka, playing for one quarter doesn't do anything. Nobody gives a shit about you playing for one quarter in a game where your teammates are tanking and you are their leader and they're tanking. What does that say about you? You are a fraud. You are a loser. And you will never prosper in Dallas because Dallas Mavericks will never, ever see a championship ever again. That's it.
James Harden wouldn't let that shit go like that. Is all I'm saying.
Facts. Harden would have played the whole game. They might have lost, but Harden would have played. He wouldn't have sat down on the damn bench like a coward.
As somebody who is shaped like Luka Doncic, I resent these comments.
Luka Doncic does cardio for a living, though. Literally, he is paid millions of dollars to do cardio every day. Every other day, he's doing cardio, and still his waistline is the same. That doesn't make any sense. It defies human logic.
He Hookah Doncic. He's also like obsessed with like cigarettes and sweet
block.
tea, which actually I get. So as somebody
Guys,
who
John
is,
might have just done it. John might have just done it.
yeah, Desmond Bain makes 2-point shot, so they're
We're
up
up
on
2 with 6.7 seconds.
As you're
left.
listening to this, Memphis is probably going to win Game 4.
Well, let's hope. Lakers have a
You
chance.
love to
but
see it.
I really would love to see it.
Ja, all-time beef, Ja, and Instagram stories.
Dylan Brooks and half the NBA.
Dylan Brooks breaking kayfabe. Dex, final pick.
I feel like there's so many good options on the board, but I'm going to take the bullet here and just say it. Drake and Pusha T's beef has been all-time great content. It just has. Like
It really
as a Drake
Yes,
stan,
it has.
like it's just I know we lost. It's fine. It happens.
You won't admit that on the timeline, though.
I admit it all the time. Like
Yeah,
he
he's
won.
been admitting it. He's been admitting it.
Like
Every
they
time I
won.
see it, you're like, nuh-uh.
I don't think it
No,
matters.
he doesn't. Yeah, he's saying like, okay, it is true that Drake lost, but who cares? Because Drake still sits where Drake sits, and Pusha T still sits where Pusha T sits. That's what he
Exactly.
says.
That's what I'm saying. But the beef itself, all-time great content. Like, there's a reason that we're still talking about this to this day. I feel like for the last couple of weeks, every single day I've seen someone new talking about like the Drake and Pusha T beef again for no reason, just because it's great content. And Pusha T, he did the damn thing. He won. He did it. It is what it is. No one could touch Drake for like a decade, and then Pusha T just cooked him. Like it happens.
All right, LeBron, 5, 4.
Oh shit,
He made it.
he fucking made it.
Tied the game with 0.8 seconds
LeBron,
left.
why do you hate me so much?
Ah, man. It's almost like the guy is clutch. Who would have fucking thought? Skip Bayless, eat your heart out. I'm so far behind on the Pusha T Drake. I couldn't give a shit.
Nothing else has happened.
It happened years ago. Yeah,
I know. I'm just like
nothing, no updates.
Yeah. Another beef. Our private information in Chinese servers.
And TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok
TikTok knows
versus
more
Congress.
about me than me. Apparently, I'm supposed to already have had a kid in golf by now,
According to TikTok.
according to
Elon
TikTok.
Musk versus Twitter.
All-time beef. Elon Musk versus his constituents. Can we talk about that? I know like we're going long. What a dumb thing that has happened with Twitter. We've systematically and really quickly made Twitter lame. How did you do that?
Having people publicly come out and say, I'm not paying for Twitter Blue, and then Elon going in the back door and giving them
no.
Twitter Blue anyway,
Yeah.
making them look like liars is nasty and diabolical, bro.
Bro, fucking you are in a beef with Drill because he doesn't want to pay you $8. So you gave him the product for free, and that's supposed to be like some genius shit.
Galaxy brain stuff.
If I go into McDonald's and I'm like, Big Mac your fucking ass,
I'm not paying for that shit.
And they
They're
just
not going to give me a free one.
hand me Big Macs for the rest of the day. That you're not gonna be like, haha, that's genius. Like, what the fuck? Like, what are we talking about?
Well, that's aggressive block by AD. She sent it over.
The best tweet that I saw about this entire thing was imagine getting LeBron James to write for your website for free and then telling him he had to pay you to write for the website. Like, the fuck are we doing? It's unbelievable. Anyway, it just nothing has killed. No meme has killed anything quicker, maybe besides Morbius, than this dude is paying for Twitter Blue.
Dude. Nuts.
Just cooking that. Anyway,
I thought LeBron was a liar. I was ready for the slander. Then I said, oh, Elon is a liar here. I should have known.
no, I did it. I
Elon's a
paid for it.
fucking dweeb.
I'm glad you can afford your own website, Elon. Really, really happy about that.
Elon, you are a dweeb, and you need to relax. This is stupid, bro. Every time I see a basketball tweet on my timeline with some news in it, I gotta fucking double check to see it's really that person because you made people pay for something that should be a foundational thing about the website. You should let everyone know that I am who I say I am, and it shouldn't be something you pay for. That is just ridiculous. It doesn't make sense.
There was no problem with it in the first place. Like, we were all chilling. We were all just fine.
The problem is that Elon is a broke boy and he paid too much for Twitter. That's the problem.
Every time something happens with him, I'm just, I can't believe that this bitch made a 420 joke about buying this website. And then when they called him on his bluff, he didn't have the guts to be like, I was just kidding, guys. No, I don't actually want this website.
Yeah, I'm not owned.
Yeah, he was like, oh, okay, fine. I'll fucking buy it. Yeah, I was serious.
What
and
a
then
fucking idiot.
this man tried to soothe him so that he wouldn't have to buy it. And then when he realized he was going to lose that fucking lawsuit because he's an idiot, he was like, haha, like, I've always wanted to own Twitter and tear this site apart.
We know you didn't want to buy it, brother. You just wanted to be a troll and try to make changes from the outside and complain about it. And we were all doing that too. So it was fine. But then you purchased it and you made it worse.
One of us. One of us.
You could have just stayed on the app and complained about it. And every time the app updates, we can bitch about it for a couple hours. Then we go back to getting tweets off. Everybody was fine with the way that it was working. And then you got up there and made even worse changes and lost all the employees. Like, good job, Elon. Good job.
Yeah, when Elon bought Twitter, people used to say, well, you know, Twitter was so poorly run. Like, maybe Elon can do it better. No one mentions Twitter being poorly run in the past anymore.
No.
No.
Because he's just that fucking bad, dude. Like,
Oh, man. Billionaires are just like us, folks. I, too, could run Twitter right into the dirt.
You couldn't do a worse job than Elon. I think a fucking doorknob can do a better job running Twitter than that man.
All right. Anyway, that has been a One Take podcast. You can find us One Take Pod on Twitter, One Take Pod on Instagram, TikTok, the like. It's the number 1 TAKEPOD. You can or just type in ONETAKEPOD. I forgot how to spell for a second. We're a little confusing with our name sometimes. But anyway, go leave us a review for that. It's the one with the marker on it, the film marker on it. So go the scene marker. Go do that.
Can I ask Dex, has he been supporting our fave before he says the catchphrase? Has he seen her new film yet? Has it happened?
I don't.
it is not, but it's coming. As soon as it's on streaming, I will be watching. I ain't go see it in a theater because I'm a bad supporter, but yeah, it's on VOD right now, but I'm not paying $20 to watch it. I'm sorry.
You can find it for free if you are handy enough.
I'm pretty sure it's bad, so I'm gonna get it free.
I'm almost certain it's bad, and also Zach Braff directed it, so like I'm willing to kind of boycott on this one for a little bit until we're finally free of his clutches permanently.
You can find us at Roy Ogletree, at Lord Dex Hinton, at Les_Humble Go follow the Slander U podcast. Go follow Dex's writing at ApolloHOU.com. Please and thank you.
Apollo.
Rest in piss, Tucker Carlson. Dex, what are we doing?
# support Florence Pugh, baby.
All right, we're out.